What's happening, sports fans? I am Kendrick, the sports guy. We have a good one for you today. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Monday Night Football is in the books. NFL Week 3 is a done deal. The two Monday night games went down last night. The Rams took that L. They lost to the Bengals 19-16, with the Bengals getting their first win of the season. And the Eagles continue to stay undefeated. They defeated the Buccaneers 25-11 to improve to 3-0. Buccaneers dropped to 2-1. Well, I got a little help from the Bleacher Report this morning from some of the fans out there, some of their takes, some of their posts, and there were some interesting ones that went down after all the happenings in this past Week 3 NFL season. So let's jump right to it. First, let's get to Kirk Cousins, Minnesota Vikings quarterback. A poster posted, "Cousins makes a bunch of teams contenders." Would you agree or would you disagree with that? There's a little truth to that statement, but I did some research, and his record, I know stats don't tell the whole story, but Cousins, as a starter, he's 72, 63, and 2. He's been to 4 Pro Bowls. He has a career QBR, quarterback rating, of 98.1. So, in your opinion, does Kirk Cousins make a lot of teams contenders? You know the Vikings did take that L to the Chargers, so they are winless. As of yet, they hadn't got their first win yet. So let's move on to another team with some quarterback issues. The New York Jets. A poster posted, Jets going to get trade demands from Sauce, Brees, Garrett next week if Zach is their starter still. Well, according to head coach Robert Saleh, he ain't moving Zach, and he's going to continue to be the starter. Well, I did a little bit more digging on Zach Wilson. Actually, on Sunday, he was only 18 for 36. 157 yards versus the Pats, and they lost 15-10. And his record as a starter is 8-14, and he has a career 69.2 QBR. So, do you guys agree or disagree? Sauce, Brees, and Garrett next week, they're going to be not singing Zach Wilson praises. We will see if that is the case. All right, let's move to the next one. This one comes from Kenny at Kenny Clutch 8. He says TJ Watt is greater than Micah Parsons. What do you guys think? Do you agree with this post or do you not? Well, I did some comparison of this season, their stats. Watt has 9 tackles, 2 assisted, 6 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and 1 touchdown. Parsons has 8 tackles, 4 assisted, 4 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumble recovery. So, does Kenny Clutch do you agree with this statement? Is TJ Watt better or greater than Michael Parsons? I would say at this point, I think if I had to choose between the two, that would be a toss-up, because both of these cats are dogs. They are bringing it. That would be a toss-up. So I'd like to know what you guys think. Now, let's move on to some more quarterbacks from total different ends of the spectrum. This post comes from @JJ1090. He says, "Crazy that we live in a world where Jared Goff is a clearly better quarterback than Lamar Jackson." I'd like to know, do you guys agree or disagree with @JJ1090's assessment? Well, I did some comparisons of the two quarterbacks. Goff came in ranked as a number 66, and Jackson number 72 in the NFL Network's top 100 players. And that's voted on, I think, by the players. Last season, Jackson threw for 2,242 yards, 20 total touchdowns in 12 games. You know he was hurt. Goff, 72 of 103 attempts, 819 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions last season. He had a 69.9 completion percentage. This season. This is their stats this season, as of yet. Now, Jackson for this season is 63 of 86 for 608 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT, and he has a 73.3 completion percentage. So, does JJ1090, do you agree? Is Jared Goff clearly a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson? I think they are totally two different quarterbacks. I think it's hard to compare the two, because Jackson has had success. He's been an NFL MVP. And Jared Goff has had a little bit of success. He took a team, the Rams, to the Super Bowl. So I think they're totally two different quarterbacks. If I had to choose between the two, I'm probably leaning toward Lamar Jackson. That's just me. Now, let's move on to the next one. This comes from at Exidera96. He says the Bears' worst mistake was actually moving on from Mitchell Trubisky. Who would have thought? Good. That's a good one. I think the jury's still out, but at this point, the Bears haven't hit on a quarterback in a long time. Matter of fact, Jim McMahon, I believe, is the last one they hit on. Now, the Bears drafted Trubisky in 2017. He was the second pick in that draft, and he's the first Bears quarterback named to the Pro Bowl since Jim McMahon. And he was the highest selected quarterback in that 2017 draft. If you remember, that was the draft for Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. So, did they actually make a mistake by moving on from Trubisky? I would say at this point, Trubisky hadn't done anything since he's with the Steelers. So I would probably say no. But they definitely haven't developed Justin Fields. They haven't developed him, and I can see them moving on from him too. So don't expect Justin Fields to continue to be a Bear. I'd like to know what you guys think about Exodera 96's post. Now let's move on to Pete at Pete 3652. He says McDaniels and Belichick should send Brady a meal a year. There'd be nothing without the man. I totally agree with this because is it the system or the man? It's kind of like that statement they said, does the clothes make the man or the man make the clothes? If the man got swag, he'll make the clothes. It doesn't matter what he wearing. I think when you talk about Belichick and McDaniels, I definitely think their success was because of Mr. Tom Brady. As you can see, McDaniels been at the Raiders, and that's not going too well. He was with the Broncos. That didn't go well. He came back to the Patriots to be OC. And as far as Belichick, since Tom Brady has left, the Patriots has just been an average football team. So at Pete 3652, I agree. They should send him a little bit of their money. That's my point, and I agree. Let's move on to the next one. Ed Zeus93, he posted, seems like 25% of the league is tanking for Caleb Williams, according to the fans. One player, a lot of teams. I think it's too early in the season to say that teams are tanking, but if that's the case, we all know Caleb Williams most likely will be the number one pick if in this draft. Some people think the Cardinals are looking to move on from Kyler Murray. I don't know. We'll see. It's too early to tell. It's the Broncos. Could they just got that 70-piece put on them by the Dolphins. Would they be looking to move on from Russell Wilson? But that's going to be tough because that contract extension he just signed, I don't know. But at this point, right now, it looks like the Broncos and now, I ain't going to say the Cardinals because they got that big win versus the Cowboys. They're not a bad team. Could it be the Giants? Could it be the Jets? It's still too early to tell in the season. Could it be Tennessee? I don't know. But we all know that Caleb Williams probably most likely will be the number one pick in this upcoming draft. And let's talk about those Dolphins who damn near set a record. They put a 70-piece on them Broncos, 70-20. That game wasn't even close. At Finn's Cap says, Tua has been getting a lot of love, but you can see in some of these people's eyes, they hate to give him any credit. I don't know what people he's talking about. I think a lot of, there have been some, I think Ryan Clark a couple of weeks ago was kind of body shaming Tua, and Tua had an issue with that. But I'll be the first to admit, when he came out of Alabama, I wasn't sold on him being a good NFL quarterback. I thought he would be average. He's exceeded those expectations at this point. He's had those concussions are a concern. But outside of that, man, he's been doing his thing with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill down there. Man, those guys, man, are putting up some numbers. And right now, if you're talking about AFC teams that might be the best team, the Dolphins right now may be at the top of the list. Right now, they are balling out. So I'm going to say on this statement, do you agree, disagree? I think Ed Finn's Cap has some truth to this. I think some people, they don't want to give him credit. They don't think they have seen enough of Tua. But anyway, right now, man, he's in the talk for NFL MVP, in my opinion. All right, let's move on to the next one. Speaking of dumpster fire, at ABBA1013 says, in this league, we say all the time, don't overreact, but somebody in Denver has to be fired by the end of the week. Do you all agree with this statement? That defensive coordinator, I think it's Vance Joseph, he probably need to be giving his pink slip, because God dog it, that Denver Broncos defense gave up 70 points. They had a 70-piece put on them by Miami, and it was just ugly from the start. At this point, the Broncos they a mess. They brought in Sean Payton with this big money to be the savior, and I don't think he realized what he was getting himself into. He started throwing shade at the last coaching staff, and now look. And speaking of which, they got to play the Jets, who, by the way, their offensive coordinator is Nathaniel Hackett, who was the Broncos coach, who he was throwing shade at. So is it all on Russell Wilson? Yeah, it's part of him, but it ain't all of him. He didn't play defense Sunday. He didn't give up 70 points. But he's been inconsistent. I don't know. He hasn't been the Russell Wilson that he was once with the Seahawks. And then you look at his, Russell, some people said the Legion of Boom carried him. It wasn't, he carried the Seahawks, but the defense carried the Seahawks. And there could be some truth to this. But to this statement at ABBA1013, somebody should be fired by the end of the week. Well, we know it won't be Sean Payton. So if it's anybody that's going to be, and it won't be Russell Wilson. So if it's anybody that's going to be fired, it's most likely going to be, if it happens, defensive coordinator Vance Joseph. So those were some of the NFL posts from NFL fans. Agree or disagree? Like to know your thoughts on all of those. And we getting ready for week 4. Thursday, we got Green Bay and Detroit, a big NFC North showdown going down. And by the way, let me show you, if you didn't know, now you know. Like Biggie, I'm a Packers fan, so I got my Packers cup. And my guy Jordan Love, he did his thing. He showed a little moxie. I know it's going to be peaks and valleys with him this season, but to come from a 17-0 deficit and get the win at home, his first home win. So feeling pretty good about Jordan Love and about my Packers, so we'll see what happens. Like to know what you guys think about it. Let me know your team and your thoughts on some of the NFL's goings on in week 3. Make sure you drop a comment, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. I am Kendrick the Sports Guy. We will see you on the other side. And on the next report, I am out. Peace.